adventure so grand. Together we journey through space's expanse. Join.
And we are finally here for your Saturday night edition of Fleetcast, the Doctor Who edition. And we are finally here, Ben. We have finally made it.
It's only taken us, what, 5 months?
5 months. It's taken us 5 months, but we are here. We are reviewing the final 2 episodes of season 15?
Series
14?
15 / season 1 / season, I believe it was 42.
Okay, we are just going to keep going with the season 15. I think that's the
Like,
easiest. That's what we know. It's new Who.
Yeah. It really is the wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff
Yes,
here.
but we are here, and it's thank God that we are here, because we have been hinting, we have been, we have been excited to the point that this episode is literally filmed 3 days after the episode that you would have seen on the Saturday.
Yeah, I mean that will have gone out 25 minutes ago.
Actually, it went out.
Earlier,
It went
you
out
had
at
another
5.
one, didn't you?
I didn't, because I had childcare issues.
Fair.
The night that we were going to record the Women in Nerd Culture, my child didn't want to sleep. So we had a sleepover in my room instead of me recording. But it's all good.
Okay.
I do not mind doing that, and thankfully my co-hosts over there are amazing women, and we're just going to record it another day. So yes, that episode should have gone out today, but it's fine. We can still discuss kick-ass women at any point. But this episode, you've got your sonic screwdriver. I've got my spoon for the emotional support that I need for this episode. Let's get into it. So,
Yours
we
is
are
bigger
going.
than mine.
I know, but spoon. It's a dessert spoon. It's the only spoon I actually had clean.
Oh, I was just doing the bit from Day of the Doctor.
Okay. I'm sorry. I let you down then. I didn't remember.
To be fair, I misquoted. I just realised it was compensating was the line.
Yes, but I'm also so full of Chinese, dude. Like
it's fine. I'm full of steak.
I got a takeaway, and I'm going to be eating it for breakfast. So yes.
Right. Before we get started, very important question.
Yes.
Chinese order.
Sweet and sour chicken balls, and then loads and loads of sides.
Prawn toast.
Yes.
Good. Seaweed.
It's the best part. I absolutely love seaweed. It's my favourite part of it.
So I didn't used to like it, but my mum's a big fan, and I occasionally sneak a little bit. But for me, it's all about the prawn toast.
Yes, prawn toast is the best. But yes, this episode is going to be ever so slightly different than what we normally do, because it's a double feature. Okay, so this episode we are both reviewing The Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death, and we are given a score for both of them together. Okay, so the score will come at the end once we've discussed the episode, once we've got through this journey, because I very much feel like these 2 episodes were a journey. I was very lucky enough that I got to watch them together. And a lot of people actually watched this at the cinema because they did them together, because when you
I'm jealous of them.
Yeah, because obviously when you went to watch it at the cinema, you actually got like a forward from Millie Gibson, who plays Ruby, which I think is quite cool. I really wish the BBC did more things like this, because it creates such a buzz around Doctor Who.
Well, yeah, I mean because the previous times they did it were Day of the Doctor,
which was amazing. The vibe for that was
I
unreal.
tell you what, I went to see that at cinema. I was at uni, and the cinema had a power cut.
Oh my god!
Literally right before it was due to start, and you had just the entire sort of main concourse bit outside the cinema was just flooded with people. And the best bit, it was flooded with people who pretty much everyone was just there for Doctor Who.
Yeah, I can remember going to see it in Newcastle, and I don't remember if it was Cineworld, View, or Empire, whichever one it was. They literally had booked out the whole cinema, and every single one was filled, which I just think it's amazing. Just shows just how much support there is for Doctor Who still, and the BBC just don't do anything with it, and it really frustrates me. Like, they've closed like the Doctor Who experience in Wales. It's been closed for years, man. Oh, okay. You weren't getting an angry face because you didn't know. Okay. Yes. So like those type of things, it just frustrates me. But yes, this episode, going into it, there were so many myths. So many people that were going through, suggesting things. What were your favourite suggestions going into this episode?
Are we still planning on doing the going through all the theories later as well, or not? Because there's a couple that I can't share if we are.
Yes, we are. Wow. Yeah, I think we should. We are going to go through the theories.
Yeah. So, there's a couple that I can't share for spoilery reasons. But there was obviously the big one that was going to be Susan.
Yes. But there was also
they-
other ones that.
Yeah, there was the Rani and
The Master.
yeah, I was really glad it was. Like,
Yeah, me too.
The problem is, if they made it the Master and sort of made Susan Twist the Master, then essentially it's like, so is the Master just gotta be playing hopscotch with genders now?
Yeah,
Like,
and I just don't think it will work. So my favourite one was going to be that it's the Beast.
yes, because they announced a bit of casting ahead of time for the season,
which I thought was really well played.
It is, because the bit of casting in question, the actor previously played the exact same role with Tom Baker.
Yes. And he's actually the oldest actor that's ever worked on Doctor Who.
Blimey.
Because obviously, what was his name? Ian Chesterton? Is that the right amount?
William Russell was the actor.
Yeah. Obviously, because he passed away, obviously, while this was filming, the next person that's been on Doctor Who and has played another role, who has come back to play this, role, is the person who will reveal. We will discuss when we get to that part.
Yeah, because fun fact on the William Russell bit, this is going back to an episode we previously reviewed, but when they had him doing the bit during sort of the Doctor's Companion support group at the end of Power of the Doctor, basically, because obviously he was a very, very old man and quite an unwell man.
Yeah.
And he kept forgetting his lines because he had, I believe he had dementia, didn't he?
I'm not sure, I'm afraid. No, I'm really not sure.
I'm looking this up as I am going through the story, but in any case, you've got essentially, what's his name? John Bishop ended up sitting behind him and feeding him all of his lines, which, so hang on a minute.
I love John Bishop. He is just such a just a lovely soul.
Yeah, but literally, because basically he felt bad for the guy.
Yeah.
But no, that part may have been an urban myth as to why he was doing it. In any case, it was a case of he just felt bad for the guy because it's like he's trying his best, bless him, but
he was 90.
He was 90, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he might be 89 when he did that.
Yeah, but that's it was just that was ultimate fan service. But yes, this episode.
Hang on. Oh. The best bit of it though, apparently what ended up starting to happen was William Russell would end up start to read his lines in a Liverpool accent. And he started imitating John Bishop.
As someone who does that thanks to ADHD, I can completely appreciate and respect the fact that he tried to put on a Liverpudlian accent. I can really relate to that.
But he was 99.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Both of us are like, oh.
Yeah, we kind of got that horrifically wrong.
Well, absolutely major respect to him then.
Yeah. Like, so he would have been 98?
Yeah, he would
maybe
have been.
97.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
either way, very
Elderly, you know.
well, yeah, we do that bit, but jeez.
But yes, the other rumours that I'd heard was that it was Omega, you know, it was Fennec, it was the Great Intelligence, which I would not have been disappointed at, especially because in the previous episode we'd seen his name?
Richie Grant.
Richie Grant as that. I think that would have been, because that's what I half expected. I really expected it either to be the
To be
Rani,
him
Susan.
slotting himself in.
Yeah, I really did.
So I did wonder about the Rani.
Hmm.
Purely because of how militant Russell T Davies had been being about specifically the Master.
Yes.
Like, literally, it's like, but there are so many other villains that have been overused who, by the way, you yourself caused that trend. You
Yes.
are the entire problem here. Or between him and actually, because Moffat very much laid off of the Daleks.
Hmm.
In fact, only Russell T Davies used them super heavily.
Yeah, but I think he did because of merchandise, you know, the fact that they were an easy story.
It was iconography. Because realistically, if you sort of say Doctor Who, after the TARDIS, the first image people come up with is the Daleks. And then it's Tom Baker in his scarf.
And then Cyberman.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that Tom Baker's scarf beats the Cybermen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, so this episode, well, there was just tons of myths going into it. You know, it was really hard to kind of work out what was going to happen. But what I do,
Right. I've got one question for you.
okay,
What were you hoping
Rani
it was gonna be?
or
Yes, I
Susan
already did.
or Susan.
I was
I
hoping for Susan.
I really hoped it was Susan because I didn't want the Doctors to be alone. I don't want him to go back to being the last of the Time Lords.
I don't like that they are doing that at the moment.
I really, really don't like that. And I kind of hope that changes when we get to the theories and what we hope for the future episode.
Yeah, because the character doesn't work very well. Because the problem is the Last of the Time Lords bit was done a lot during the Eccleston Tennant Smith run.
Yeah.
And then even after they brought Gallifrey back, they kept trying to do it during Capaldi's run as well.
Mm-hmm.
To the extent that then Jodie Whittaker's run came on, it's like, we got to kill him again. Just
Yeah.
because.
But I did like that episode, so I can't fault. I can't fault their reasoning for it. But it does frustrate me. But we need to get onto this episode.
Yes.
We will just go on a ramble. So yes, so this episode, it was released on June 14th on Disney, but June 15th on BBC, which really annoys me.
Yeah.
Because we got a lot of spoilers, didn't we? We got a lot of spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, the claws are out.
Yes.
It's Angry Ben.
Yes. But I do like how this episode literally opened. It wasn't like even a soft start.
It was a hard.
It was literally a bang. We are at Unit. We are there with Kate Lethbridge-Stewart. We are there.
Have you looked at any of the YouTube shorts around this episode?
No, I haven't.
So there is one with the boy who played Morris Gibbons.
Yes.
And he literally makes a joke about how it's always a tennis ball. Like whenever you're on a set, it's always a tennis ball. Because the way they did that shot with the TARDIS coming crashing in, so that everyone got the same eye line, was they literally just threw a tennis ball down.
That makes sense, but yes, literally, the TARDIS flies through the door and parks in front of like the bridge, like they've gone. And obviously,
because we know that the TARDIS can't just materialize in there because they've got shielding.
Yes, so it has to pretty much crash land in Unit HQ.
You'd think you could just call ahead and just get them to drop it for 5 minutes.
I don't think they can. I think it's one of those things that they just can.
No, just land on the helipad.
Well,
Like, there's no reason why you can't do that. If you can't land in the building, You got a perfectly good helipad out there. Just land the TARDIS on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Poor girl's been through enough.
Yeah. Yeah. She does like to know how to make an entrance.
True, but it doesn't help that her driver keeps leaving the brakes on.
That indeed it does. But obviously we've got Kate there, we've got Rose Noble, we've got Ibrahim, we've got the Vinks, and we've got some new members. We've got Harriet and we've got Morris Gibbons. And then we literally jumped straight into them going asking about Susan Twist.
Well, no, because first of all, they're saying about Ruby's. Oh no, they do go into that first of all, and then they're going through sort of all the stuff to do with all the appearances she's made, including a couple we've not seen before. We had Blue Devil Woman and Blue Robot Woman and Devil Woman.
Yes.
I saw that. I was just like, these should have been episodes. Like, honestly, we should have got one of these rather than Space Babies.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been disappointed if we literally got or even a short where they meet all these different Susan Twists. I would have really, really, really liked that. But yes, you are correct.
Big Finish free pitch for you there.
Yeah, you can have that one free of charge. We won't even charge you. You know, we're not going to ask you for Disney dollars or anything like that. Yours, my friends. But yes, then, like you said, it jumps then straight into the other mystery of the season. Who is Ruby Sunday?
Ruby's mum.
Yes, and who is her mum, and why was she left on the church?
Yeah,
on Christmas
and
Eve?
they go on about that for about a minute before going back to Susan Twist because she is obviously doing a big press conference.
Yes, which I find quite funny because obviously she's going to be Susan Triad. She's the owner of Triad Technology.
Triad.
Yeah,
and then
Triad.
S Triad. It's and then the first thing it says is it's an anagram. Clicks it on, and then S Triad spells TARDIS, and then I just love Ibrahim's response of even I got that.
Yes.
That is my favourite line of the entire episode.
It is. It's so funny. But I feel like very much that character is there for those type of comments. He is there literally just to snark, and I love it, and I am there for it.
He is there for the dry wit.
Yes.
And it's just like the thing is, it is the same kind of dry wit that they had John Cleese for when he was in James Bond as Q. Yes. He was there to deliver it incredibly dry. Or Rowan Atkinson in Blackadder.
Yes, it's very, very British humour, I find.
Yeah.
But yes, so we've got Susan Triad, and they are listening in on her practicing her press conference.
Yeah, but before we get that twist, there is the bit where Ruby points out the name because it's Susan.
So she points out, yes.
And then, of course, they don't have a clue about it, which is a continuity error. Unit do know about Susan because the Doctor points out Susan's name, my granddaughter.
Yes.
The Brigadier met her in the Five Doctors, which they reference the Five Doctors as having an entire unit file on it.
Yes.
During Day of the Doctor.
Yes.
So they should know about her.
But I do wonder if it's the Brigadier protecting Doctor. That is my headcanon to accept it. I can create a headcanon to make anything work in my head. Come on.
I just took it to be because, as I say, it is a continuity error. My right away for it was just whoever wrote that file was really, really crap at names.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, when you're having to explain 5 separate people with the same name who aren't separate people, you're gonna have problems.
Yes. But even the Doctor kind of dismisses it as it being Susan because he says, "Oh, where Time Lords have the ability to
regenerate."
Well, no, they have the ability to regenerate, but
it says the ability to change their faces. They can do it to heal themselves, or they can do it to hide. Which this is the first time they've actually explained it away as something they can do as basically a chameleon thing.
Yeah, but also he says that he'd be able to sense her presence if it was her. And I was
Which
like, hang on a minute, you didn't notice the master.
actually that was explained by the Archangel Network.
Mm,
But the idea that he'd be able, because in that episode, the Doctor points out that if it was another Time Lord, he'd know because they always do.
yeah,
But he also mentions that he should have sensed there was another Time Lord on Earth. But then the Master even says in that episode that the Doctor mentions the Archangel Network basically had a perception filter built into it.
yeah. But I'm on
And
about the spy master.
oh yeah, that one's a whole other
Yeah,
problem.
that's the one I mentioned. Because obviously
Okay,
Saxon Doctor, that one had they had the reason, they had rationale, while the fact, while he was protected
the
because he was
Spy Master one was a big problem because they even established that the two of them met.
yeah. So it
And
just makes no sense. But
here's my theory: if
okay,
they only met while the Doctor was 13, 13's head was a bit messed up because they had a lot of crap thrown at them. Like,
wow, yeah.
if you put it, mind you, no, because that was before the crap got thrown at them. So no, there is no excuse.
But yeah, so
Because
we
he's the one who throws the crap.
yeah, so we kind of have that theory, and obviously either way, obviously when Kate goes on to explain that when Susan changed the name of the company's name to Estria Technology previously, it was 2-3 months ago, Kate assigned Mel Bush to monitor it, and I absolutely love the fact that we get Mel for this episode. Mel, I didn't ever watch any of the episodes with her originally in old Who.
I've watched
She's
a
amazing.
couple.
So much
Ironically, she
fun.
was in the Rani's second appearance.
Yeah, so
Because the whole thing, the Rani impersonates her.
yeah, so this I vaguely I think I've seen some clips, but I haven't seen anything substantial. But I absolutely love having Mel in this episode.
I'm just happy anytime they have anything that's a sort of direct callback to the classic series.
Yes.
Like, full stop.
Yeah. And then obviously we've got the fact that they cannot find anything alien about Susan. She's just a nice person.
Hmm.
But then we kind of get the weird move to the fact that they then move on to Rose's mum.
Ruby's mum, but
sorry,
yeah.
I do it every time.
It's fine. The Doctor did it in a song.
Every damn time.
Like, it's really concerning that he did it.
I even have a post-it note there saying Ruby. Every damn time. But yes, we move on to Ruby's mum. And I just find this really kind of very, very quick moving, that there's literally no kind of transition. It literally is 1 second that, 1 second that, and I'm like, I'm going to get whiplash.
So the problem is, because this two-parter as a whole does suffer for pacing. And I think that I half wonder if they originally thought they were going to have more episodes this season. This was going to be able to be a 3-parter.
Possibly.
But I honestly think they should have cut one of the two angles, either cut the Susan triad or cut Ruby's mum.
Yeah.
Because it's the same issue as what we had last week with the Doctor's storyline and Ruby's storyline.
Yeah.
You've got the A and B plots are at war with each other again.
Yes.
And don't wrong, they are integrated better this time.
Yeah.
But what it leads to is the first part has real pacing issues at the start, and the second part has horrific pacing issues in the middle and end.
I can agree on the middle for the next episode, but the end I think is done very well. And I'll obviously, when we get to the end, I will go into my reasoning why I think it's done well.
I'll go with that when we get there.
Yeah.
Too,
and obviously, I find that the very, very quick movement of this scene the fact that he explains about the fact it's time locked because he's already been there. He also
Which is another issue because I'm sorry, we've seen him do that before.
yes,
In short, this season appears to that they should call it Doctor Nerf because they are just nerfing the hell out of him.
they are, and it just, and the fact that when they go into the whole conversation around the fact that Ruby's recollection of the event causes snow, I was like, that doesn't work. Why does she cause snow? That's a shit reason. They gave me a shit reason for that, and I can't forgive that.
And right, I am going to give a spoiler here. They never give a good reason for it.
Yeah, they really, really don't.
Like, legitimately, even if they tied it into the next bit, which
Yeah.
is where because the doctor says to Kate, "Oh, have you got a time window? Well, you forbid us from experimenting time with technology." Kate, 12 floors down.
Yeah.
And that tracks though, because we have seen before when the doctor tells them not to do something,
They're gonna do it.
they do it.
Yeah.
In fact, they take that as a you have to do this.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. I just find the fact that the only explanation they give us is the fact that, oh, that moment in time is vulnerable. Okay, so why is she making it snow?
Why? Yeah, but why is it vulnerable?
Yeah, I don't get it. I feel like we're missing something, and maybe
I hope they're going to address that in some way next series
Yes.
or in the Christmas special. Like, just
yes,
do something, explain what the hell is up with the snowing,
yes,
and also explain the ending because the ending. I will say it now. The ending is not satisfactory at
no,
all.
no.
Just
Yeah, we're gonna
as
get there.
someone who
We're trying blitz through, and then we can get through to our gripes, grumps, and things when
yeah,
we get there.
I am listening. I'm just grabbing my laptop charger because my
Oh no.
battery has just given me a warning. So
Oh dear.
it's fine.
But
It's fine,
yes,
it's plugged
so
in.
obviously this kind of goes on and how they use the VHS from the CCTV footage.
I kind of like that.
I do like that, and I do think it looks absolutely fantastic in this time. What's they call it? The
Time window.
time window. And I do think it looks fantastic. It does kind of give us a blinks. I've called it on my screen the Christmas Hollow, so I knew what it was.
Yeah. Also, when they went to get the VHS, we got Mrs. Flood.
Yes, you can go into
And
that one.
So you get because they're going off to like Ruby's mum says she's going with Ruby, blah blah blah. Using the if Rosie's mum can be a part, you tell them I am too. It's like, but Rose's mum actually went with the doctor. You don't quite understand how the whole chain of command works here, do you, love? But anyway, she then says, "I will get Mrs. Flood to look after you, Nan." So
Yes.
Mrs. Flood comes in, and we get the bit where she's sort of gushing over Rose, and then says to Ruby, "Oh, you too, still hoping for that growth spurt?"
Yes.
Taking the mickey out of the fact that she is a
Tiny.
very, very small girl.
She is. She's very, very tiny.
But then you get the bit where after they leave, and then Ruby's dad says, "I would love a cup of tea." Well, would you now, sweetheart? Well,
Yes.
we'd all love a great many things that aren't going to happen.
Yes.
I love the delivery.
Mrs. Flood is amazing. I do really, really like her.
She is possibly one of my favorite characters in the episode. Again, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that generally this episode for one-liners
Yes.
is great. Like Russell outdid himself here.
Yes. And obviously, but also she hints in this episode, warning her.
What's going on with
yeah,
her.
she kind of hints in this episode. She kind of warns her that something is coming, and she goes, "He waits no more."
Yeah.
And then obviously we see a storm in the distance, and I'm like, "Ooh, I like this. I like this a lot."
See, the funny thing is, I had a split-second moment when I watched this,
Okay.
purely on that storm.
Mhm.
And the only reason being, we have a character who we know is referred to as being a storm. The Doctor. we also have a version of the Doctor who is much less nice
Oh, the
at
Valyard.
being the Valyard.
Yeah, no,
And I
that
was
was
like,
that was
is
another
he-
myth. That was another myth that I actually really wanted to come true.
Yeah, I would have really, to be honest, I would have loved if, especially because Russell T Davies kept making a huge deal about how David Tennant wasn't coming back. And my personal theory is that the whole bi-generation bit and the fact that Doctor stayed there basically to watch Donna and her family just die all around him is going to be the catalyst that's got to turn him into the Valyard. And I am half wondering, because again, Russell T Davies is making this big deal about how, we're not doing any kind of anniversary thing next year for the like 20th of New Who.
Oh, he's gonna be. He's gonna be. I
I-
refuse to believe that he's not doing something.
I'm legitimately half expecting him to again bring back David Tennant as the Valyard and make him the villain for that anniversary.
Yeah, I 100% expect that. Yeah, no,
Which,
I don't. But you know, obviously, getting back to this episode, obviously, once we got over that, we kind of were straight back to Unit HQ, and obviously, the Doctor's.
You have little conversation between Kate and the Doctor
Yeah.
where she questions how he can have a daughter. It does bug me that she's like, it has to be a daughter that he had. It's like, he could have either. Like, you just know he's got a granddaughter. The line should have been, you can have a child before a grandchild, not you can have a granddaughter before you can have a granddaughter before a grandchild before a child, not a granddaughter before a daughter. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of assumptions being made there.
Yeah, I don't think she meant to assume. I think it was just one of those. It was just how the line was wrote. But it did. But it does explain a lot because obviously, this is a question that's been bugging us since the 1970s. Because we needed to know more about this. Obviously, the Doctor explains it as he's a Time Lord. He can meet his
He
his
does
family.
things out of order.
Yeah, he does things out of order, and I just I love it.
Except the funny thing is, in Fear Her, the Doctor literally had the line, "I was a dad once,"
Yeah.
which tells us that he's already had that child.
But rule number 1, the Doctor lies.
Yeah, I'd rather believe he's lying here.
But yes, but then obviously this is the moment where the Doctor gets hope because Kate turns around and goes to him going, well, how can you be sure that you would recognise her? And I'm
that's
like,
the point where it
oh. And then that's when I jumped back on that bandwagon. That was me jumping on that bandwagon.
Yeah, I kept jumping on and off it throughout the episode.
It was like one of those
The thing that kept making me jump off it was also a bit that kept making me think that it could be right. Specifically the S triad bit, because fun fact, in An Unearthly Child, they actually said, which just got retconned out later on, but they said it was Susan who named the TARDIS.
Yeah.
So that's why I kept going, could be that. I was like, no, because that's too obvious.
Yeah.
And again, I was just going, well, yep. And didn't actually make my mind up until about 2 minutes beforehand when I was just like, yeah, like the point where he meets her is where I'm out of my mind. I'm like, no, they would have done a big thing here.
Yeah. But obviously, it kind of just moves very quickly from this moment. Obviously, we've got the time window. The time window activates. We meet new characters.
Big gas monster.
Yes. It just it just kind of. But what I do like is the fact that they use the Carol of the Bells so goddamn well in this episode. I didn't realise that it was actually called the Carols of the Bells, which is one of those Rebecca things that I just didn't realise that was actually a thing, and that's what it was called. But I was like, oh, that makes kind of sense. But it's called that, and it's that. But I did love how they used that.
Yeah, and they introduce another colonel just to kill him.
Yes, Winston.
Which, I'm not gonna lie, I'd sort of. They did something here that annoys me, which is they introduced a new character who seemingly fills the exact same role as a pre-existing character. In this case, the other colonel, who is Mr. Colonel One-Liner.
Yes.
Just to kill him, and it's like, if you're gonna do that, just kill the other dude.
Yeah,
Like,
but obviously they can't because he's now going to be the love interest for Kate
except for
in the new
that
series.
comes much later.
Yes, that's me jumping the gun, but I feel I need to justify this ever so slightly because I think he's going to appear in the new thing that we're getting.
But then there's also the ending of this, which means that didn't matter anyway. They
I think I've forgotten it.
right. We'll put a pin in that until we get there.
Okay, because I think I've forgotten that.
Yeah. But anyway, you get the big gas monster, which starts off as the Colonel Shidosi says, "Oh, it's behind the TARDIS."
Yeah.
And then, of course, you get the bit where Morris Gibbons the Doctor then says, "Right, that's it. We're going to Triad Technologies." Him and Mel go there. He gets the call saying, like, well, we're reviewing the tape and we can see at the center of that thing is the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Like, the gas monster is the TARDIS.
Yes. Which is
then
bonkers.
But then the Doctor makes the comment of, well, if it's there in the thing, maybe it's also around the TARDIS now. And then proceeds to tell them, like, whatever you do, stay away from it.
Yes, obviously,
Which
they don't.
Yeah, but I love the fact that that's actually a thing there. And then it's like Morris Gibbons keeps going through all the probability of the trap throughout the episode.
Yes.
And you then they go and they meet up with Susan Triad.
Yes, which is it's just so sweet. This episode, this whole thing. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, I love the bit just before they go in to meet her, where the Doctor stops. And he literally stops and has a mini breakdown.
He does.
Because obviously he knows that he is about to get one of two possible outcomes.
Yeah.
Either he is about to have a reunion with the granddaughter who he left behind literally over 1,000 years ago from his point of view.
Yeah.
In fact, close to 2. Or he's about to have that semblance of family ripped away from him again.
Yeah.
And he knows that whichever way it goes,
gonna hurt.
he knows he can't win.
No, and it's gonna hurt.
Yeah. And then of course he meets her and asks her, "Have we met before?" Which this bit is somewhat problematic because it's like, well, yeah, fair enough. She might know that he's another Time Lord, but like she's not met you. Like new face, dude.
Yeah. But she should have that ability too. If they obviously familial bonds.
She would just know he is another Time Lord.
Yeah.
Not necessarily who.
But it's really interesting how they kind of play this Susan twist. Obviously, this Susan, because she mentions that she can't sleep and that she's so busy that she struggles.
And then the Doctor asks her, "Do you dream about being an ambulance and having a daughter called Lindy?"
Yes, and obviously
goes through the list. And of course, then you get all the flashes of them. She gets taken away in a bit of a panic for obvious reasons. This guy's literally just reading off her dreams to her.
Yes.
And then we cut back to Unit, where strange things are happening now.
Yes.
Because Harriet is sat there mumbling away to herself.
Yes.
As the TARDIS starts to act up. And then, of course, they call the Doctor.
Yes.
So the Doctor asked the question, but Harriet, what's her name? And that's where we get Harriet Harbinger.
Yes.
And as they're doing that, you see the Susan Triad thing where it's doing all the sort of like what's it? Not merchandising, advertising.
Yeah.
Stuff. And we go to Susan Triad, S Triad, Sue Tech. Right.
It wasn't triads. It wasn't TARDIS.
It was the wrong anagram.
Sue Tech.
who last appeared in 1973, beg your pardon, Pyramids of Mars.
Yes.
Either way.
The harbinger of the god of death. But what I like about this scene is when Harriet is rambling off, she goes on about the succession of various gods. She goes the toy maker,
So-
the trickster, the Mara, and the maestro.
Maestro.
The mother and
fun fact
father of all.
We have actually met every single one of those at some point or another.
Yes.
Because the Mara appeared in a classic series episode. I can't remember which Doctor it was. That's one I think I've watched once in passing or seen clips of.
Yeah.
Obviously, Maestro, we got in this series. The Toy Maker, we got with Celestial Toy Maker episode and the Giggle.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Trickster, who was the main antagonist for the bulk of the Sarah Jane adventures. Up until, and this was a bit of a Deus Ex Doctor on the writer's part, because what do? They give this guy an obsession with the Doctor, and then they literally, in Sarah Jane's show, bring the Doctor in to beat the bad guy.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
didn't they have to do that though because Sarah Jane had passed away?
No, this was before that.
Because I thought her last couple of episodes they had to edit because
she passed away.
Yeah, so I wonder if
that's why she's not in the final episode.
Yeah.
But this was 2 seasons earlier.
Was it? I can't remember the timeline for.
This was when they had David Tennant in it, which came out.
I thought Matt Smith appeared, and
he did later, but he didn't appear with the. He appeared after the Trickster was done.
Oh, okay.
He appeared with the Claude Shanchi, who were the Undertakers, basically.
Oh, okay.
And they reported his death erroneously to bring together Sarah Jane and Joe Grant, now Jones.
Oh, yeah. No, it's all coming back to me. Yes.
Yeah, whereas it was the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith.
That's it. I knew. I knew it was something. I thought it was Matt Smith that was at the wedding.
No, it was David Tennant at the wedding, because that was, fun fact, that was the last thing he actually filmed when he was playing the role of the Doctor. He filmed that after End of Time.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Because because if you look at the TARDIS, the colour is actually wrong, because the TARDIS prop they used was Matt Smith's one.
I've not seen it.
With the St John's Ambulance sticker removed.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that was a just tidbit for you there.
Yes, but as they've realised that the anagram is wrong, Beast appears atop of the TARDIS, and at the same time,
giant jackal monster.
Yes,
because he's an Osiren who are, well, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of bugs me because it's like, Lord, this should be Anubis, but anyway.
I've got it labelled as the Doom Puppy on my screen for a picture that I've got.
God, yes.
Yeah, it's known as a Doom Puppy to me, which I think
The thing is, so also Susan Triad now turns into skeleton zombie woman.
Yeah, she's completely undead along with Harriet.
Yeah, and proceeds to dust the guy with the dreadlocks. Yes, he is Dreadlocks Man to me. This is his name.
Yes, and obviously the Doctor is absolutely in shock because all he can do is just stand there.
Also, what I love is the Doctor is terrified because. So one of the things I did after this episode aired was I went back and I rewatched Pyramids of Mars.
Yes.
Fun fact in that episode, the Doctor does not win. The Doctor basically plays a tie game.
Yeah.
But before that, the level of power that Sutek actually has is he was literally able to brainwash the Doctor in that episode. And it's like, this is an instance where the Doctor knows he is completely outclassed, he is completely outskilled.
Yeah.
100%. Point blank, he's done.
Yes. And obviously he just stands
there looking on in horror.
Yeah, he really does. He is literally shocked. He's like, I really don't know what to do here.
While Susan tells him that she brings Sutek's gift of death.
Yes.
Which, by the way, the delivery of that line was...
I'm not going to lie.
Impeccable. terrifying.
I'm not going to lie. The actress, Susan Triad, Susan Twist, is just, she's literally amazing. Like,
yeah.
The amount of roles that she played across these episodes are just mind-blowing. And the fact that she's made every single one of them unique. Yeah, it's just...
Apart from in the next episode where we get flashes of every single one of her now being zombie her, but that's meant to be the case. That is a creative decision.
But then we go on to the next part of this. So we're on to Empire of Death, where Susan Triad has released Sutek's Dust of Death.
Yes, and the best bit here is the fact that, because back in an interview given when Last of the Time Lords was due to come out, Russell T Davies brought up the fact that he wanted to make sure they didn't just have the Doctor fix everything in the first 5 minutes like normally happens at the start of part 2.
Yes.
And in that, they just made a point of the Doctor basically stayed as he was. Here, it's a case of no, he loses.
Yes, and he literally does. I don't think people realise, if they've not seen previous episodes of Doctor Who, or they've not watched more than maybe this series, just how often that actually happens. In the first 5 minutes, it's all fixed, and then we've just got some story points to kind of gather up, and But this literally doesn't happen. Kate gives the order to fire at Sutek. The bullets have no effect.
Right. Here is where one of my biggest gripes for the episode comes in.
Okay.
They give the child a machine gun turret.
Yes.
But they won't let Rose do anything other than make coffee.
Yeah, but...
And I'm like, no. If you won't let... I get it. The kid's a genius, but you're still giving a child a machine gun turret. You don't do this.
Yes.
You never give children any kind of weapon.
Yes.
Because it will end badly.
But they did. I think that's probably one of the least annoying parts of this episode, to be brutally honest.
Oh, yeah, but I just think that it's really poor management on Kate's part.
Well, I think this is kind of the ends of the world, and she's basically trying to stop the ends of the world.
Well, at that point, you give Rose a machine gun too.
Yeah, but I think that she didn't get one because wasn't she like? Didn't she get dusted before them?
No, she's literally stood there playing with a tablet.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think they're trying to go. Oh yeah, she's controlling some kind of remote turret. Bless you.
Thank you.
But it just comes across as she's literally stood there playing game. Like, it's the end of the world. Everyone else is shooting at this thing. And she's playing Candy Crush.
I suspect she's probably not playing Candy Crush. She is probably doing something a little bit more, but obviously,
That's what it looks like.
But yes, Harriet releases more dust into the unit build and, literally ends everybody. Rose, Morris, Blinks.
Very nice little soliloquy from Kate before she gets dusted.
Yes.
And also, this is what I was talking about, because they kill Colonel Ibrahim here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you just got to kill him here anyway, you may as well have used him and killed him in the previous episode.
Yeah.
Like, if you just got to do it anyway...
I just think they needed cannon fodder. They just needed more cannons for the fodder.
Yeah, but it's really bizarre that they have a colonel. Like, for context, a colonel is equivalent to a naval cap. That would be like them using Captain Picard as cannon fodder. Or Captain Kirk as cannon fodder. And I know they did that in Generations. And I still haven't forgiven them for it.
It wouldn't be such a bad thing. It might have stopped some of Shatner's overacting.
True, but they could have also done that with Janeway, and then Voyager might not have got stranded in Delta Quadrant.
Well, no, that's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. But yes, the Doctor escapes with Mel. And I love this part that they're driving on the moped. They're trying to avoid all the dust. But this is one of my favourite parts of this episode is at Ruby's house. We've got Mrs. Flood and obviously Cherry Sunday. And she asks Cherry if she believes in the power of prayer, instructing her to tell your maker, I will come to storm down his gates of gold and seize his kingdom in his true name. Cherry is confused.
Yeah.
And she goes, who are you, to Mrs. Flood? And Mrs. Flood literally says, I had such plans.
And then gets dusted.
And then, yeah, you know, as with everything else in London.
Like, this episode has more people getting dusted than Infinity War.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
No, because this one is the entire universe. It's not just half.
Oh, well, yeah, no, and it is across all time and space, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yes,
Because that becomes a whole plot point later on.
yes. The Doctor and Mel get to Unit HQ, and thanks to this is where I still get annoyed, is it's snowing still.
Yes, because reasons.
Yes.
I mean, this is where I get annoyed, because Sutek materializes with the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
And he does this just to taunt the Doctor.
He does, and he taunts him very, very well.
Yeah, but he literally taunts the Doctor with how he has spent all of this time since Pyramids of Mars hiding on the TARDIS, which, so just to clarify, there were 13 of him at the end of the Time War. But you had a much better opportunity to do this then.
Yeah.
Like this is my big gripe with Sutek's bit. Like, there are countless episodes where, and also, so what, he just let the Daleks drop him and the TARDIS into a sun.
Yeah.
He just let the Master rip the he let the Silence blow it up with him still attached. There are so many problems with this. It's just like, surely he should have come out sooner than this.
But I think, you know, it's showing just how powerful he was, because obviously he even went through like the total collapse of the universe, the Force, the Big Bang too.
Yeah, he also did one other thing. Because remember, at the end of the giggle, the TARDIS got split into two. Does that mean he got split into two?
I don't know.
Like, we know when they're going to answer that. They're going to answer that if and when they want to bring him back down the line.
Yeah.
Like, that will be when we'll find out, and that will be the explanation.
Yeah. But it's interesting. It's an interesting one.
I do love the fact, though, that he literally just turns the TARDIS around so the door is facing into him.
Yes.
So, and makes the comment that the Doctor will never enter his machine again.
Yes.
And it's like, at that point, that is when you know the Doctor has lost.
Yes.
Because the TARDIS is the Doctor's oldest companion. The TARDIS is also the Doctor's deadliest weapon. So at this point, yeah, you have literally stripped him right down. Yeah. He has nothing left. However, the Doctor makes an observation here. If time is memory and memory is time, then what is the memory of a time machine? And we finally get an explanation for something from during the 60th, where they did all of those sort of recap episodes where they had old cast members come back and would do sort of go-overs of classic series episodes on Tales of the TARDIS, which, by the way, I recommend watching if you haven't. They are very, very fun. And very good if you struggle to watch long serialized stories, because they do condense a lot of the classic episodes. They condense them well. But you had the Memories TARDIS, which is very clearly made of bits of various different TARDIS.
I love this concept. I just love it so much.
So do you know what I love? I love the consoles, because the entire TARDIS is made of consoles.
Yes.
You've got bits from 10's console, bits from 11's first one. You've got sort of the main bit is from 11's, bless you, 11's second one and 12's one.
Yes.
Then on the ceiling, you have got sort of the classic one. Yes. And then on top of that, you've got a bit that you see later on where they have a mini version of 13's console room.
Yeah, and obviously you've got other bits from there. You've got obviously the large TARDIS round things. You've got the
sonic screwdrivers.
Yes, you've got the Fourth Doctor's long scarf.
Yep.
You've got the multicolored tie from the 6th. You've
The
got
coat, you mean?
yes, and the tie. And you've got the 7th Doctor's got his jumper there.
And I believe his umbrella as well.
I think, yeah, it might be.
Yeah. Also, I just realized the screwdrivers weren't in this episode. They were in one of the towers of the TARDIS, because you get a bit where they're looking at them and they have literally every single sonic screwdriver.
Pretty much they do. I've got the list of what items they had there. So they had the War Doctor's sonic screwdriver. You know, the 9th Doctor's got his chair. And we've obviously got the head of a Slovene, his psychic paper. The 10th Doctor, we've got another chair. We've got obviously his the TARDIS round things. We've got the orange space suits and helmet. The book A Journey of Impossible Things, his 3D glasses. So the 11th Doctor has the 2nd TARDIS control panel, a fez, a large black top hat, the book Advanced Quantum Mechanics, and a can of custard.
Where's Fish Fingers?
Well, there's probably not there. The 12th Doctor, we've got the warning sign for Christmas carols. We've got the red version of his electric guitar. The TUDIS device, his sonic screwdriver, the TARDIS hexagon things, stopwatch, and what else? And obviously the 14th Doctor, we've got the sonic screwdriver. And then obviously the 15th, we've got the intelligent gloves and robe and the mini version of the jukebox. But there are loads and loads of things from the companions too. So you've got the River Song, it's got her diary. The Master, we've got a Toclafan spear. Toy Maker, there is a wooden horse sold from the shop that he was in. K9, we've got a head mounted on the ceiling. We've got Yasmin Khan, probational police ID card. Rose Noble, one of the stuffed toys that she makes. The Fugitive Doctor, a painting of an unseen new look. That's interesting.
Yeah, also, can we just appreciate they've done K9 dirty there? Just mounting his head on the ceiling.
Oh, but that I can see why. So they've got Rose Tyler.
Just have K9.
They've got Rose Tyler. They've got a wanted poster. They've got Rory Williams. They've got his poncho, which I love. Amy Pond has her blue suitcase with dolls resembling 11 and herself. There's the Albino Party logo from 73 Yards, which, spoiler. And then we've got handles, which traumatized me ever so slightly because that's who they did dirty in this episode. They did handles dirty in this episode. But yes, so this TARDIS, after a little bit of an escape attempt, is held together by intelligent string. Yes.
Going back to Church on Ruby Road. No, yeah, it was Church on Ruby Road, wasn't it? That appeared in.
Yes.
Yeah, because they like their throwbacks here, and then the Doctor gets a whistle.
Yes.
Now, last episode we had Chekhov's intelligent earrings.
Yes.
This episode we have Chekhov's whistle.
Yes, we do. We do. But yeah, this kind of episode, and then obviously they go through pretty much scene after scene, all the planets, all the places that the Doctor has been, and oh my god, the throwbacks.
Because they mentioned the Ood sphere is dead.
Yeah.
But then as he's going through the list, you get the point where he gets to Skaro.
Yeah.
And Mel just asks him, the Daleks are dead.
Yeah.
And it's just like, under normal circumstances, he might be happy about that.
Yeah. But he's not. He literally just feels absolutely destroyed by
part of me kind of wishes that had been the one planet they didn't kill.
Mm-hmm.
And actually put him in a position where he doesn't have any choice but to align himself with the Daleks.
I think if they'd had more time,
if they had a third part,
I think it would have been, but they obviously didn't, and it's just this whole scene left me with emotional damage. Because...
Please.
Oh, no, you can't. It's absolutely fine.
No, I was just saying a bit at the end where he is literally just stood at the TARDIS door, screaming out into space. Which that part does bug me a little bit. It's like, no, as soon as it was outside, we shouldn't be hearing it now.
Yeah. Yes. But obviously But then obviously he does tell Sutek that he's gonna win. He's gonna do something, and obviously Sutek growls no. And then obviously he lunges for the TARDIS, but obviously the Doctor closes the doors. Yeah, it's just oh, I don't like this part whatsoever, because it then leads to the part where I need a spoon. And
I'll let you tell this bit.
Yes, so I've had to stop because I'm like, oh, the feels are coming back again. So the TARDIS. What are we going to call this TARDIS? Should we call it
It's memory TARDIS.
Memory TARDIS. Okay.
That's the actual canonical name for it.
Yes. So the memory TARDIS basically goes off to find a planet. It's a desolate planet, and obviously the Doctor meets a woman, and he starts talking to her. He's asking her where they are, and she doesn't know. And she asks him if he wants some chaffee, and he goes, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll have some." And then she asks,
"Is chaffee a real thing?"
I don't really know.
Like, legitimate. That was my big bit here.
I don't.
Is this some sci-fi thing, or is this an actual drink?
I don't know. I'm gonna look. I don't think so, because everything just keeps coming up with tanks.
Yeah, M24 chat. Okay,
yeah.
So they are drinking a tank, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously, she asks where he came from, and he says only that he got lost. And she tells them she hasn't seen anyone in weeks. And then she kind of turns and hushes a baby in a cradle, telling him that she thinks that she had a child called Bridle D. But the memory is dying. And it kind of turns out that anyone who is left alive is basically their memory just fades, and then they fade, and that it's affecting family lines, so they could just randomly forget. And what I really don't like about this scene, and what I do love about this scene, is very much the fact that it's heartbreaking, because this woman is by herself. She can't remember her husband's name. Only that people used to come there. And then the Doctor kind of says, "Do you have any metal?" And she gives him a spoon. And
after initially protesting that metal's precious,
yes,
to which he points out that nothing is precious anymore.
Yes. And obviously she tells him that he's got kind eyes. She's like, "Oh, my husband used to have kind eyes." And I was like, oh, is this gonna turn into, this is how we find out that Susan's been made and all of this? And I was like, hang on a minute, what is going on here? But then we get the part where I was like, oh my god, why did they do this to me? This should have been a trigger warning. He goes, "I think my baby's died." And I'm like, she'd forgotten everything. And then
yeah, I mean, you know what that reminded me of?
What's that?
Silence in the Library.
Yes.
Where you kept having and then you remembered, but then you get the one bit where it's like, and then you forgot.
Yes. But obviously we learned that death is travelling down the family lines, and then it can travel backwards from child to mother. And then the Doctor watches as she turns to dust before his eyes, and it's so heartbreaking. This is why I decided that my item for this episode was going to be a teaspoon.
And then it's, with this spoon, I'll save the universe. So it's like, well, to be fair, he's shown that he's quite good with a spoon before. I refer you to when he beat Robin Hood in a sword fight with one.
Yes. Yes. And obviously, the Doctor returns to the memory TARDIS and explains that they need something real and not just memories to fuel things. So he inserts the spoon into the monitor, which displays an image of Sutek as he once was.
And this is the bit that really grinds my gears.
Okay.
Because you get, as you say, the bit with Sutek as he was in Pyramids of Mars, and you get the sort of clip with the Doctor and Sarah Jane in Pyramids of Mars.
Yeah.
Ruby asks, "Who's that?" To which the Doctor's response is, "Oh, just some people who are in the TARDIS once."
Yeah.
And I'm like, mate, go do one. Like, legitimately better than you.
Yes. Yes.
Please note that's largely based on the fact that much longer there. So, but at that point, I was like, yeah, just the way that he was so flippant about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it
actually put me off him a bit.
Oh no, he's still my boy.
Well, no, particularly because he was that flippant about Sarah Jane. It's like,
Yeah.
no, like especially after you had the bit at the end of the giggle with, "Oh, Sarah Jane's gone. I loved her. I loved her." It's like, well, clearly you didn't, mate. You clearly didn't give her monkeys.
But I think there probably wasn't time to go into any more around her, I think. I think that was probably the reason why
they could have cut, which would have, particularly at the end, there was some stuff they could have cut to make time.
Yeah, they could have. But yes, getting back to this, obviously, we find out that the time window is still connected, and then Ruby asks what's changed.
But then you get as well the twist. Because, of course, the thing about people is people are, and they point this out, largely a conglomeration of dead cells.
Yeah.
All your hair, your skin, all of that's dead.
Yeah.
And Sutek can control the dead. So Sutek has actually managed to worm his way into the memory TARDIS through Mel.
Yes, because Mel's still there.
Yeah, which admittedly this is one bit that's a little bit weird because the Doctor seems to keep forgetting she's there through the episode.
Yeah, ever so slightly.
And it's just like, he has her there just to do a Mickey.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think she is a higher level than a Mickey and a Rory, but obviously yes,
not
she
by much in this episode.
But obviously she is there, and obviously Mel is absolutely exhausted, and she's hearing the voice of Sutek. But we then get the fact that the time window shows a scene of Roger Apt Williams, which is from
73 yards.
Gonna say 73 yards, yes. So.
And then the Doctor points out that's from 2046. You've not met him, have you?
Yeah.
Well, no, how could I?
Yes. But they
wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Yes, but they realise that the reason they are being kept alive is because there is an answer that hasn't been given yet, which is, who is Ruby's mother?
Who's mum?
Yeah, who's mum? Who's?
Or I can put this better. Are you my mummy?
I was gonna make that joke.
Sorry.
Are you my mummy? Spoil. That was my joke. That episode traumatized me.
I love that episode so much.
Yes.
Also gave us the best companion of New Who.
Well, yes. But there is a lot going on in this episode at this point. Obviously, because then Ruby's like, well, how can there be a 2046 anymore? And obviously,
if everyone's dead in 2024.
Yeah.
And the Doctor's response is, well, I landed there, which means it's preserved in death.
Yeah, so it's a fixed point, and obviously,
which I love as well that they explain how even after Ruby had that timeline reset, how Roger Williams still ends up getting deposed.
Yes.
because the Doctor has a very special skill. He's great at getting rid of prime ministers.
Yes.
Like I mean, he he got one thrown out on grounds of being unfit by saying she looked tired.
Yeah.
He got one shot after he did a whole year of hell.
Yeah.
And now we find out that he did something here, which I sort of wonder if this was one of his nicer ways to deal with something or one of his less savory ways that we spoke about before.
Yes. Yes. It's definitely an interesting one.
I want this as a big finish.
I do want to find out this story.
The irony is as well, because I know that a lot of people go, oh, but so that'll have to be one with, and shit. It's like, no, it could be any of them.
Yeah.
I actually think the better way to do it would be don't make it him, make it one of the previous Doctors. They're still doing stuff for Christopher Eccleston.
Well, yeah, he sometimes he likes Doctor Who, doesn't he, when the paycheck's big enough.
Yeah. But yeah, or don't do David Tennant. Like, as much as
I would like to
he's
see.
got rid of enough. Actually, no. Do it with David Tennant.
No, I would like to
the
see.
Prime Ministers.
I would like to see it with Matt Smith.
Yeah. To be fair, I quite like it with one of the classic Doctors.
Would they? Yeah.
Like, you know what? Given that you've done him dirty here, let Tom Baker have that one.
But yes, so they go to the DNA database. Ruby gets her finger pricked, and obviously they submit the blood to the database, telling her to press search. Obviously, while they leave Mel outside.
Yeah, because you get the bit as because obviously sort of get a bit where Doctor takes her around briefly. She goes outside, and then Ruby goes, "Oh, it's done." Turns around, and we have, because during that there was more snow, more Carol
of the Bells,
of course. And then she turns around to see the Doctor with the zombified Mel inches away from killing him.
Yes.
And it's just like,
But obviously the doctor tells her sorry, and that obviously that he loved her. And it's that awful voice that Sutek's minions do as she goes, what good did love do? And I'm like, ooh, that's not. But obviously she demands that Sutek give her the name of Ruby's mum. And then Harriet teleports them all aboard the TARDIS.
Well, no, she doesn't even do that. She pulls a lever on the TARDIS and teleports them straight to UNIT.
Yes.
Which I'm like, is this a thing the TARDIS can do now?
Like,
or is this something the TARDIS can do now, or is this just Sutek doing a thing?
I don't know.
I want to know. Because if that's something the TARDIS can do now, you've nerfed the hell out of the Doctor here and just dialed his power up to 100 over here.
Yeah.
You've also just made the TARDIS completely superfluous.
Yeah. But there's a lot that happens in these couple of scenes.
Yeah, in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's a ride, and I think I'm gonna get out of the way and just say it all, and then we can kind of go back through it, because I feel there is so much that happens. Because we've obviously he tells Ruby to show her the name. The Doctor pleads with him, tells him that he'll worship him. Sutek's unmoved. He does something to the Doctor that he grows green and he falls to the floor. He tells him he's lived far too long, and obviously the Doctor shouts at Ruby that not to tell him. And she says, "Oh well, I'll do it if you let him go." She tells Sutek that the screen has found the name, but she doesn't understand it. And I was like, "Oh my!" I can remember at this point, I was like, "Oh my god, she's gonna tell him." But then she kind of just drops the screen, shattering it. And this is the moment when I'm like, "Yes, Ruby is definitely Rose," and they are basically resetting the timeline, and we're getting it all again.
The bit that got me here is this is the part where So there is a meme online where you will always get and it was at that moment that he knew he, and that is what Sutek realizes, or rather, that is what Harriet
Yeah.
realizes here on behalf of Sutek, because the Doctor then proceeds to point out, first of all, he knew that that Sutek had got Mel
Yeah.
because, as he puts it, she's too cold.
Yeah.
Then he proceeds to blow his whistle while pulling out the intelligent gloves.
Yes.
Ruby ties the rope round Sutek's, which, by the way, why does the God of Death have a collar?
I don't know. I don't
I
know,
get
but
it's for the Joker put the dog on the lead.
yes,
But it's
yes.
like,
But obviously,
dude,
there is a lot that happens in this moment.
and
Obviously,
also, the TARDIS now has the coolest thing ever. It has a rocket booster under the console,
yes,
which, poor Harriet, she, like, literally, she decides to look to see what's going on, and that is the moment where she realizes
yes.
because of the fact that she just gets vaporized immediately.
She does. She does.
Sutek is getting blasted in his unmentionables by
Yes.
this thing and roaring in an appropriate amount of pain.
Yes. Yeah. There's just so much. There's so much happens. But obviously,
And then, because of course, the thing that, as I mentioned earlier, the Doctor's, because at this point it's gone from being about one companion to being about another, because the Doctor's oldest companion is the TARDIS.
yes.
And not only that, as I said earlier, his deadliest weapon is the TARDIS. And in this scene, the TARDIS is both.
Yes.
And it's sort of Ruby based. I'm trying to think of a nice way to put it than become surplus to requirement.
Well, no, because
But
she holds.
really
Well, no,
does.
she holds down. She holds down the lever to keep the Doom puppy in its place. Obviously, what I love about this is the theory how they're going to bring back life to the universe. You know, they're bringing death to death.
What? Yeah. As explanations go, it's not the worst one in the world. It tracks with maths, because obviously a negative and a negative makes a positive.
Yeah. So I think the reasoning is solid in this episode, that the how they bring back life to the universe. They bring death to death.
Solid enough. There is a thing which I remember when I saw a TikTok about it, and I saw it when I was ill. And you said, yeah, I saw it a couple of days ago, and
Yes.
I didn't want to send it to you because obviously he's going back through the time vortex, dragging
Yes.
Sutek everywhere he's been.
Yes.
But there's a place he can't go. He can't go to Pete's world, which means they just killed Rose Tyler.
I think you're thinking too much into that.
I hope so, because
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Rose.
It will be fine, Ben. Okay.
Either kill them both or just kill
But
Rose.
we get the woman and her spoon, and we get the lovely scene of her there with her baby, and I'm like,
because they explain
yes.
the name of the planet. And therein is another bugbear, because there are two planets here the Doctor should have been checking on. One of them, because for the love of God, he does not want that back under any circumstances. That being Skaro.
Yes.
And also, one, let's be honest, the guy deserves a win at this point. Just let him have Gallifrey back.
But for all we know, that does happen. We just haven't seen it yet.
Honestly, I feel like that's something they should have brought up more than what they do bring up.
Yes, but they do, obviously. Yes, but obviously it happens, you know, the Doctor wins.
Yeah, and everyone who's been killed in this episode comes back, including both colonels.
Yes. And Mrs. Flood, who calls the Doctor a clever boy.
While wearing a blue jump. I feel like we've seen this before.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is ringing some bells.
But obviously Sutek tries to lunge into the TARDIS, but the door closes, severing this.
What I love here is the Doctor's little bit where he tells Ruby that they defeated a monster and now he has to become a monster.
Yes.
One of the things that I love about the character of the Doctor is, for all of his attempts to do good, he is only marginally better.
Yeah.
than all of the monsters he fights. He
Yes.
is not a good person in any way, shape, or form.
No.
In fact, quite the opposite. He is a bad person.
Yes.
He is a, well, actually horrible person.
Yes.
But what gets me is how he talks like he's never had to do it before. I'm like, dude, you keep forgetting things. But
Yes.
I-
He has to sever the rope, and the Doom puppy has to go bye-bye.
yeah, but yeah, you do get the sort of very nice little speech from Shuey here, which he does deliver very, very well.
Yes.
Where he talks about how if Sutek's the embodiment of death, then that must make him life.
Yes. It's all a little bit strange, but obviously,
Yeah, it works.
yeah, it works. It works. You know, Sutek is cast into the vortex. He turns to dust, and the Doctor drops us to the floor, folding his arms.
And we also get, during the midst of this, when they're showing all the people coming back, we get a very nice rendition of, well, a variation on the 10th Doctor's theme from series 4.
Yes, which is nice. Which is nice. And obviously, they then go back to 2024 and Unit HQ. Sorry, and we've got Susan Triad is there.
Yeah, she isn't dead as well.
She's a real person. And the Doctor summarizes that due to the nature of her existence, she still has her memories, her family. You know, all of that is still true. You know, the god of death created a life for her. And
I mean, there is the question of, does that mean there's all these other ones, and is maybe that's a bit like kind of a mess he should be going to clear up?
well, no, because they all exist. They are all still people.
Mm.
And obviously, we're lucky enough that this version of her has a very good brain. So Kate decides,
Offer a job.
yeah, because Kate does. She offers people jobs.
Yeah, right. Here is the prerequisite to get a job at Unit. Meet Kate Stewart once.
Yeah.
That's it. But
then we then got Imbram's final part in line of this episode, and obviously Susan's like, "Oh, I can make the tea," and Imbram's like, "Yeah, no, I've made your tea. It's awful," and I was just like, funny.
Yeah.
But then we get to the part of this episode that literally just makes no sense, because
the problem is
they built this up too much.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, this doesn't need to be here.
No, I think they built this up too much.
Yeah, because we now find out who Ruby's mum is.
And she's just a very ordinary woman from Coventry.
She is a normal woman from Coventry who got pregnant in her teens. They, at least I hope, in her teens, because they reference that the father was 15, and they're. I mean, the interesting point is the actress is very clearly in her 40s. Ruby's 20, and anyway, the
timeline cut. You know, she was 15 years old.
It's just they got an actress who's slightly older. It's fine. It was just a little bit cringy.
Oh, okay.
It was because me and my colleague were talking about this episode earlier.
See, I didn't notice that. You know, I just saw it was a woman, but obviously
I didn't until he pointed it out, and then once I'd seen it, that was it.
But she's a very, very ordinary woman. There's nothing extraordinary about her.
Yeah. Now, honestly, I kind of think that if they wanted to keep this, because you don't get the bit where the Doctor takes her to the coffee shop, takes Ruby to the coffee shop and says, "You don't have to go if you don't want to." Part of me wishes they'd made this scene her goodbye scene.
Yeah.
And then, because they then, obviously, she goes in, you get the... you don't have to show the reunion. We don't need to see that.
No.
It's surplus to requirement, and at this point you are eating into episode time you could have used for other things, Tom Baker related things.
But yeah, so there's a reunion between Ruby and her mum, and I like the fact that they turned around and said the woman was Ruby's mum was made extraordinary because they thought she was extraordinary. That was the only reason why.
I have a love-hate relationship with that.
I know you do. I know you do.
I get what they're going for, but
Yeah.
the problem is exactly as you say, because they built it up so much,
Yeah.
it became so much of an anticlimax. It was just a disappointment.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, there's so much more they could have done.
Yeah, but then obviously then we find out that they find her dad later on, and Ruby tells the doctor that she's got to go,
Meet her dad.
Yeah, she's got to go meet her dad, and that, she points out that he never went back for his granddaughter, but he says, and then
That was my mistake.
that was my mistake. Yeah,
and then maybe you'll see her again.
Yeah, I like to think that maybe this is a hint for the future, but who knows?
I'm saying nothing.
Yes,
I'll
because
tell you when we finish recording.
That's another episode.
That's
our next episode.
That's Ben just did the I just had a thought.
Okay, but that's going to be part of our next episode. But yes,
Yeah.
This episode then ends with Mrs. Flood stood on the roof, dressed in a furry white coat, holding a white umbrella, looking like Mary Poppins. And
looking like Mary Poppins and Cruella de Vil had a baby, but yeah.
Yes. But she does that weird where she looks at the camera. She kind of breaks.
Yeah, she does the 4-4 break.
Yeah, she does the 4-4 break, and she continues that life goes on ruthlessly, and that you might wonder what happens to the Doctor.
Well, I'm sorry to say that his tale ends in absolute terror.
And then she goes, "Night night," and that is where the episode ends.
So, first of all, they're already hinting at the regeneration.
Yeah.
While trying to deny that he's going after his next series.
Yeah.
Guys, I've been on like horrific dates with less mixed signals.
Yes, yes. Right. So, what is your score for this episode, Ben?
So, because we are doing an average,
yeah,
it's 3 out of 5. I love part 1. I really was disappointed by part 2.
Do you want to know what the score is for this episode?
Sutex.
Twists and twists.
Over.
Because I feel after this many goddamn episodes of discussing Susan Twist, there should be a twist at the end. Yes.
What's your score?
My score's 4.
Okay.
Because it was going to be a 3.
Okay.
And then I decided, last minute, that due to the fact that I absolutely loved the memory TARDIS and all the little things that are in it, it gets an extra from me because of the little trip down memory lane and the absolute detail they put into this episode. They put a lot of detail into having all the things. So, Ben, I think you need to give, because you're going to be on the score page, aren't you?
I literally just opened it.
I know, because I can see it in your gaze. Right, I think you need to give us a roundup of the scores for this season. Just this season, so these episodes.
Okay, so you don't want Church on Ruby Road as well?
Oh, no, that counts.
Okay, so Church on Ruby Road was one of our 2 low points with 5.
Yep.
Because you gave it a 2, I gave it a 3.
That doesn't happen often.
Yeah. Normally, I'm the slightly harsher one.
Yeah.
Space Babies got 6. Both of us gave it a 3. Devil's Cord got 9. You gave it 5. I gave it 4.
Yeah.
Boom was 6. We both gave it 3. 73 Yards was a perfect 10. Dot and Bubble was a 5. I gave it 2. You gave it 3.
Okay.
Rogue was 8. Both gave it 4. And then this one comes in with 7 because 3 from me, 4 from you.
Okay.
Fun fact, it's only the second 7 we've given.
Okay.
The
So,
first was Wild Blue Yonder.
yes. So, I've had a couple of questions about what we're going to be doing in the future because we've got a little bit of time now before Christmas, haven't we?
Yeah, a couple of months.
Yes. So, our next
More important
episode,
things first.
Halloween.
No, my birthday.
Oh, yeah. Your birthday's the
6 days before Christmas.
Oh, 19th? My sum's wrong. 18th.
No, you were right.
Oh, well, but then don't give me that look, man.
Oh, Sonic, if I want to Sonic.
Yes, so what we're going to be doing with this, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So next episode is us going to be going back, looking at how we could have changed things, and discussing the future and what we hope to see in the Christmas episode, what we hope to see in next series. So it's going to be a little bit of a different episode because we've not done an episode like that because we have literally just done episode reviews for this.
Yeah.
Since we started. So we're going to be doing a little bit of, this is going to require us to do a little bit of research, to be fair, and get our thoughts together. Because we're going to be going through the news that is coming out for the new series. We're going to be going through lots. It might even be a 2-part.
Does this mean I need to go down to the newsagent and pick up the Doctor Who magazine?
Possibly, if you want to do that. But
I mean, it's got the waxwork on the cover, and those freak me out. So
okay, no, let's not do that. But we've also got our Halloween editions. And we can't decide which episodes we're going to review. So we need your help. Quite urgently.
Oh, which one of these is scarier?
Yes, we need you guys to let us know which episode is scarier. We're gonna put a quiz up on our socials so that you can see, and we would love you to comment below what episodes are scarier for you, because I think we should review Blink, but you think, what episode was it?
So I did go Weeping Angels, but I think Flesh and Stone, Time of Angels, because they are a lot creepier in that episode.
Or do we go with Are You My Mummy?
Do you know what? That's the one we didn't consider, but it's actually a very good shout.
So,
because gas mask zombies.
yes, so we kind of need your help. Whether it's going to be Blinking Weeping Angels, Scary Weeping Angels, or Gas Mask Zombies. So yeah, we need your help, basically.
And be very happy, because I didn't even mention Cybermen.
Yes.
I for those who don't know, because I don't get a lot of a chance to talk about it, the Cybermen are, outside of the Master, my favourite villains in Doctor Who.
Yes.
So.
And then we're possibly going to get back to the Timey-wimey wheel.
Yay!
But we might do something episodes slightly different. We might do some episodes summing up some of our favourite species and some of our favourite aliens.
Ooh.
But the next episode will be our look back and look forward episode. That might be out a week after this. It might be 2 weeks after this, because there's a lot on our schedule coming up and things could shift depending on different things.
Yeah. It's getting into the hectic part of the year.
Yes.
I go into the busiest week at work there is.
Yes.
Week.
Ben goes into busy week. I'm getting back into my school routines. So we'll see. You might find that there might not be a couple of episodes from us, or you might find that there's lots of episodes and then there's a break. But we'll see. But I think for now, stay lovely, stay logical, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.
Bye.
In the vastness of the stars we roam, Obsidian Fleet, our eternal home. With stories untold, adventures so grand, together we journey through space's expanse. Join the fleet where dreams take flight. In the darkness of space we find our light. A community strong in unity worlds to the final frontier. Our imagination's bold and clear. With pen and heart, we craft our tales in this universe. Our spirit prevails. Collaborate, create and share. In the fleet we find friends who care. 'Cause force is strong, united we